Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Lucky Brain Podcast. Today we have Eric Michael on. Do you go by Eric Michael or is just Eric?
Sorry, my name's Eric Hernandez. Eric Michael is my Instagram name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we have Eric Hernandez on the podcast today from Cirque du Soleil. Now he is creating with YouTube for his channel Cirque Life. I'll put the link in the description for that, but I hope you guys enjoy this one. Eric, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, dude. So I first got turned on to you by your bro, Anthony, and I started looking at your Instagram page, and it's very interesting because you were part of Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? Like, what made you interested in the arts?
Yeah. So it's actually a funny story. It wasn't even so much my interest of getting into Cirque du Soleil. So what they hired me for is I'm a traditional Native American hoop dancer, and that's not the kind of artist they normally hire for Cirque du Soleil. But because of the particular project that they had, that had kind of a Native American theme, they were reaching out to try to find authentic Native American performers. So they actually reached out to me.
Wow.
From a video that I had on YouTube that they had seen, and also from a recommendation from a friend. And yeah, they called me. I really didn't even know what Cirque du Soleil was. I was a hoop dancer, and I learned how to hoop dance at a young age, and it was something that helped me keep in touch with my culture.
Yeah.
And it was more of a hobby. I never thought it would be like a full-time job. I never considered myself a professional artist. As I got older and I continued to hoop dance, things started to come, little gigs and here and there, and I'd perform here and there and stuff like that. But when Cirque du Soleil called me, which is like the cream of the crop,
Absolutely.
it was a surprise. It was like, you want me?
Yeah. What's that feeling like? Super surprised. Because I imagine you doing hoop dancing at such a young age, and then seeing like those talents and that hobby actually become like being able to make money off of that. That must have been a really great feeling.
Yeah. I hoop dancing, like I said, was just for me to keep in touch with my culture. There was a competition once a year, so that was the incentive to train and get better and things like that. But yeah, once I finished high school and went to college, I realized, hey, I have this skill that is entertaining to people, and it's something people don't normally get the chance to see, and it's something that I can be on stage, like performing, and I didn't mind being on stage. I liked performing, and so yeah, that was kind of where I was like, hey, maybe I can do something professional with this. Maybe I can make a couple extra bucks doing this. But I never thought it would be a full-time job, my career, my everything. That was where the big surprise was. So
yeah.
But and a lot of people say, oh wow, Eric, you're so lucky Cirque called you, and you're that's amazing, you got that. And
right.
But you have to be. I always hoop danced, and I always kept up with it when I didn't have to. I had other things going on, like sports and school and work and things like that, but I always kept hoop dancing just because I loved it, and it was my passion, and it was a way that I got to express myself and represent my culture.
Right.
And when an opportunity presented itself, I was ready for it.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Yeah.
So what is the experience like actually, being and traveling within that world? Because I would imagine it's amazing. But whenever I'm traveling, it's like, I love home so much.
Yeah.
And I love my family. And sometimes, like, I was in Hawaii for 2 weeks, and then after a week, I was like, damn, not having like a job or a purpose or something to do. I was like, this is like boring.
Yeah.
So like, what was your experience? Not to say that it was boring at all, but like traveling the world. I'm a big fan. I love travel because I think it's so important for your perspective as a human being. There's so many different cultures and so many different ways of being a human being that is totally different than being like living the American style. So what is, I guess the question would be, what was that experience like being in traveling with Cirque du Soleil?
So traveling with Cirque du Soleil is, I'm not traveling as a tourist. I'm not going there to see the sights. If I get lucky, I get to have a day off and go see the sights. But I'm there for work. We do 10 shows a week. So if I'm not at work or on stage, I'm at home resting, preparing for the next day. We could do 2 shows in one day. So the traveling part of it is really a different perspective for Cirque du Soleil artists, because we are traveling with our home, which is the big top. And all of the artists, which is, I think we had about 47 artists in my show. And I worked with Cirque du Soleil for 8 years, so you can imagine you get really close to these artists. And, you know, we travel with 3 chefs. We have a kitchen. We travel with a medical team. We're really a family. So we're traveling as this unit, and we're working together, and we all have the same job and the same purpose, and we get 1 day off a week. So if I'm feeling up to it on that 1 day off, I'll go explore and see the sights to see and things like that. But it really is a different experience of travel than, you know, going to Hawaii and being there for 2 weeks. We're really there to work.
Right.
And it's intense work. It
seems like it.
Yeah. So the thing that makes, like you said, you know, you love your family. It's difficult to be away from family. And what makes the traveling doable and being on the road all year, because we get 2 weeks a year to go home, is the family, the Cirque family. And that's what really allows us to continue on, is because you feel like you're really part of something. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's really what allows you to keep going and going. And that definitely seems amazing. I imagine the bonds that you create within Cirque du Soleil are amazing, because you guys are all doing the same thing, like you said. Like the purpose is all the same. You know, your practices or training for your performances are, I mean, not similar in nature, but it just seems like you guys are all working towards the same thing. Yeah.
So you mentioned something that you live in a tent.
So we work and we perform in the big top, in the tent. But we live in hotels and stuff like that. So we don't actually live in the tent. You know, traditional circuses, they'll live like in caravans just outside the tent. But Cirque du Soleil, they just don't do it like that. Cirque du Soleil is very different from I'd say the only similarity from Cirque du Soleil to these traditional circuses is the fact that we perform inside of a tent, but we don't have animals and we don't live in the tent. So it's I don't know, I guess you could say it's more of like a luxury circus.
Luxury circus.
Yeah, where we're kind of we're living off site, and they give us the opportunity to either take the money and find our own Airbnbs, or take the housing that they give us.
Oh, I see.
So it's
which did you prefer?
Well, it depends. Sometimes if you partner up with somebody and you guys both take the money from Cirque, you can kind of put your money together, get a place together, and save a little extra money. So sometimes we do that. Yeah. But yeah, they always put us up. They always take care of us pretty well. So, but we all live, if you do choose the hotel, we all live in the same hotel. Like, we'll take over the entire floor of a hotel. And
yeah.
And
that's pretty cool.
If you're not part of Cirque and you're staying in that hotel, it's
I would imagine it's wild.
Yeah.
Just seeing like visually all the different makeup that people are wearing.
Yeah.
And the type of clothing that people are wearing.
Yeah, definitely. Cirque du Soleil is known for the makeup and the costumes and the lighting, and it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy visuals.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is there any type of performance within Cirque du Soleil that you like watching? Like, is there anything in specific? Because I've never been to
you haven't?
Any event? No.
Yeah, see, I had never been either before I started with Cirque du Soleil. There's 18 different shows touring the world at the same time right now. Or not right now because we're in the pandemic.
Whoa.
But and I just work in one show.
Oh.
So my show's called Totem. And I'd have to say the favorite act in my show that I like to watch is probably the roller skate couple where they're on a little disc and they're swinging. The man is swinging his wife around, and then at some point they put a loop around their neck, and she puts it on her neck, and he swings around, and she's spinning like this as they go around in circles.
Wow.
It's crazy stuff. But
yeah, I would imagine everybody has to be pretty athletic.
Yeah.
To be in Cirque du Soleil. So
one of the biggest difference between me and a lot of the other artists is I'm a dancer. I stay on the ground. I dance with hoops, and I don't put my body at risk just like everybody else does every day. So I'm there. Like I said, I didn't expect to go to Cirque du Soleil, but a lot of the people I work with have been training. Oh, that was mine, huh? A lot of people I work with have been training for Cirque du Soleil for all their lives. You know, just like an NBA player would train basketball to try to go to the NBA. So I didn't know about Cirque du Soleil. I just got into it out of nowhere, yet I'm working with all these people who it's been their dream all their lives, and they're on stage swinging by their necks and doing backflips and putting their life on the line every day, and here I am, all I got to do is go out and dance with hoops.
Yeah.
And
but what you do seems to be pretty physical as well. I've seen some of that stuff. It seems to be like you have to have some good like hand-eye coordination. Jumping through your hoops and things like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there training or preparation that you would have to do before the shows, or because you've been doing it your whole life, it's something that you kind of got down?
Yeah, well, definitely you have to warm up. That's the thing that we learn at Cirque is injury prevention, warming up. In the past, I've had difficulty with my Achilles tendons, so I always had to really warm those up, stretch. I always jump rope before, just like any athlete, you know, going into a game. Yeah, you're good there. Yeah, I'll let you know on that one. Yeah, and then just keeping up with it. Like I said, we do 10 shows a week. I was there for 8 years, so
and you only get 2 weeks off.
Yeah, about 2 weeks off a year to come home. But we have a week between cities, so about every 8 to 10 weeks is about the average duration of a city, and then we have to transfer the big top from one city to the next city, and that takes 1 week. So the artists, we're not involved in that. The technicians do all that. So we tour with 150 people, 47 artists, and then the rest are technicians and chefs and supporting cast and tour services, people who handle our passports and things like that and book our hotels. And there's so many, it's a huge engine. There's so many logistics that go into traveling around the world with 150 people.
Yeah. And you're just one show.
And working and getting work visas. And we're just one show. So Cirque du Soleil is a $2 billion company that was created in 1984.
Wow.
And is created out of Montreal, Canada. So it's a French-Canadian company, Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil.
Circus of the Sun.
Circus of the Sun. Wow.
Yeah, so.
Cirque du Soleil, that's amazing. 2 billion, 20, 30 years in operation. We said 18 different shows?
18, and that's not including the Vegas shows. And don't quote me exactly on the number because sometimes shows close and
that's still.
But there's about there's about 7 shows just in Vegas, and those are resident shows. They never leave. They're always there in Vegas. Yeah. So they have their resident shows. They have their touring shows, which is what I work for. And then they also have their arena shows that go like in the Staples Center and the Forum and things like that.
So do you think are they permanently closed?
So that's the big thing right now. So it was March 15th. We were in Germany, and all this stuff happened, and they closed our show temporarily. They said, we have to send you guys home. Our next stop was supposed to be Italy, which was really heated at the moment.
Yeah.
In March, it was like the hot spot.
Right.
And that was our next spot.
Yikes.
So they were like, we're probably not going to Italy. Yeah. And our next place after that was Prague. And that wasn't supposed to start until June. So we came home in March, and we were kind of like, okay, Italy's off. We have 4 months off. And you know how I told you we only have 2 weeks off a year.
Yeah.
So we're not crazy mad about it. We're kind of like, we got 4 months to go home and be home finally. So the first couple months, was kind of cool. It was like, wow, I get to actually hang out with my family for a while and get settled in and unpack and things like that. You know, I bought a TV. I was like, I get to buy a TV. Like, I get to settle down.
Yeah.
You know, so like little things like that seem funny, but for people who live on the road, that little stuff is just, we never get to do that. We always are just living out of a suitcase, packing our bag, going from hotel to hotel. And so it was nice. It's been nice to be home for a while, but about 3-4 months into it, which was about a month or two ago, we started to be like, okay, we're used to doing 10 shows a week.
Yeah.
You know, and we perform for about 2,500 people every day, 2 times a day. That's how much our audience holds. I believe it's 2,700 in the audience. So you're kind of used to that validation, and it kind of becomes a drug in a way.
Yeah.
You know, having an audience applaud for you every day for 8 years straight, and now you're home and you're quarantining,
right,
and months are going by, and you're used to this, just always being, your senses being heightened, and the colorful makeup and the lighting and the audience and artists from all around the world. We have 17 different languages backstage with the artist. I'm one of like 4 Americans in the show. Everybody else is Russian, Chinese, you know, French. So I've just been so, my senses have just been so just like
really
engaged.
stimulated.
Yeah, stimulated. That's
engaged.
the word. Engaged. That's the word I was looking for. And now I'm home, and it was nice for a while. I'm getting antsy now, but
well, now you've created Cirque Life.
Yeah. So Cirque Life is, I actually created it like my 2nd year on tour. So I created it about 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was kind of like a vlogging channel. Me just kind of, you know, filming backstage. Hey guys, today we have 2 shows. We're in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, and it was really just about me. Like, hey, my name's Eric, da da da. And I would film little series of what it feels like to do 10 shows in 1 week and what that's like. And I started to build a little audience on YouTube. Just because nobody really has shown that side of Cirque du Soleil before. But then I kind of, this last year on tour, I kind of went a different route with the channel, and I started doing fitness competitions. I was like, okay, who doesn't want to see how many push-ups a Cirque du Soleil artist can do?
Yeah.
And how about if they compete against each other? And then what about sit-ups? What about a plank? How long can they hold a plank? How long can they do a handstand?
Yeah.
So that was when my channel really took off.
Yeah.
We had a guy do a 54-minute plank.
54 minutes.
And
wow.
Yeah. And then we had a guy do 313 pull-ups.
Dang.
And those videos have like 500,000 views and stuff now. So when I left,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So when I left Cirque, that was an amazing opportunity that I'm used to, and that I don't have anymore. But I've been building this channel all these years, which is about Cirque, and now I'm not at Cirque anymore, but I have all this free time, and I have an audience sitting there.
Yeah. And you're a creative type person.
Yeah.
And
so
you need to create.
I need to create. Yeah. So I'm like, I gotta keep this alive, and especially, what else am I gonna do? So and also I know that the circus community kind of needs something like that right now too, to be able to keep it alive, because you have all these elite performers who've been training all their lives to be on stage, and stages aren't going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I created the Cirque Life Project, which is a series within my channel. But yeah, so let's get back. So the recent news of Cirque du Soleil is that they filed for bankruptcy, and originally all the artists were just laid off temporarily, and we still had our contracts and we still had our health insurance, and when our show would come back, we would be called to come back. But as of about a month ago, when they filed for bankruptcy, it's not temporary layoff anymore. They terminated our contracts.
Yeah.
So all the artists. I think it was over 2,000 employees or something like that for Cirque du Soleil.
2,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Not only artists, employees, everybody, all employees, everything.
Yeah.
Were completely let go.
That, I mean, it's it sucks, and like thinking, I would imagine as an employee of Cirque du Soleil, you may be like, fuck, man, these fuckers. But
Yeah.
It's during the pandemic, if they're not making money, how are they going to afford to pay the employees? I mean, that like half the fucking world got laid off.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a staggering number of businesses that will never open again, and so this pandemic is really blown the economy. It's really blown up the economy.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy. And when you think of the lifestyle change, just speaking of, you're on the road, I mean, pretty much for 8 years, and now you have a totally different change of life. All the people in the circus, I mean, they all have to change their life too. So it's interesting. Have you been in contact and kind of like ask people like, what are you guys doing for your creativity juices? Like,
yeah. I mean, definitely. And that was one of the reasons why I've been trying to keep the channel alive and doing the Cirque Life project, is because these artists, a lot of the Cirque du Soleil artists, their biggest asset is their bodies. They work with their bodies and they have to stay in shape. So a lot of people have developed home fitness plans and things like that. And you do see a lot of Cirque du Soleil artists kind of being entrepreneurial now and kind of using their knowledge to teach and do Zoom chats and hold, to do tutorials on YouTube and things like that. Everybody's had to really adjust
absolutely
to this. So, yeah, it's interesting to see what artists are doing right now. I know that there is a large group of artists that don't know what to do because their specialty is gymnastics or acrobatics or aerial skills and things like that. So they don't know what to do without a stage.
Yeah, and also too, as a creative person, generally, like, your mind is not thinking like a logical person or a numbers person or a business person. You just like want to create all the time.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's like how,
right?
Now I would imagine they're going to be forced to like, okay,
focus on the business side of things.
Focus on the business side. Like, how am I going to make a living? How am I going to monetize this? I have this like really amazing skill that like not many people can do. How do I monetize it? And I think I was listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan, and he had like a neuroscientist on. It was one of his most recent ones, but he was talking about neuroplasticity and how like our brain actually stretches because and it stretches under pressure. Like when we're forced under pressure to do things, whether it's like, oh, how am I like dating way back? How am I supposed to kill this animal? Do I need to like pick up a rock and throw it at its head? Can I like make a spear or something like that? And so learning like that, I think this is not necessarily a bad thing, but could be a positive thing for everybody that's having to adjust.
Yeah, I know, right? We'll come out of it stronger, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Yeah, some people will, and then some people won't, I think, but the opportunity is there, and just like with your Cirque Life channel. I think that's a great idea, by the way, that you're keeping the circus community, the Cirque du Soleil community engaged. Yeah. And you're doing it in a cool way too with your editing and showing. I think that's so cool because you could be doing it way lamer than you're doing it right now. I seen the handstand challenge, and then you had like 100 different people or whatever in the small little squares, and then you like blow them up and you see like see different people. One was standing on his hands, and he had like a little cat by him, and
right.
Yeah, so it was very, very interesting. So, and then we're at like 23 minutes right now, so we'll wrap it up in a bit.
Okay.
But, just talking about traveling, even though you were working, what was like your experience traveling into? How many countries did you travel to during your time?
So,
what was the most interesting one to you?
Yeah, so I started with Cirque du Soleil in 2012, and my first city, I was like, okay, I'm with Cirque du Soleil. Where are we gonna go? Where are they gonna send me? My first city was San Jose, California. So, My first year was America. We did San Jose, San Diego. Then we went to the East Coast, Boston, New York. You know, and that was far for me. That was far away from home because I hadn't really traveled much by then. I'm 21 years old at this time. Yeah, so we went up and down the East Coast. Then we went to Canada, Ottawa. And then after that was the first big international one. We went to Australia. Yeah. And
dude, I seen you were like in this island off Australia. What was it called? Ferris Island or something like that.
Yeah,
it was just like right off Australia. The waters are like, damn.
Yeah,
really nice.
Man, that was awesome. Australia was really cool. Really nice people. Very talkative people. Yeah. If you're at a store in line or whatever, the person will turn around and just talk to you, and you'll have a full-on conversation.
Which is so weird living in LA. It's like nobody wants to talk to anybody.
I know. Yeah. Strange.
Yeah, very strange.
But Australia was unique in that way, and believe it or not, a lot of the rest of the world is more similar to LA.
Oh, I see.
I mean, Italy and places like that, Italians, they love to talk. You know, if you're Italian and they're Italian, Italians, if they could not know each other, and it'll look like they're brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so went to Australia, did things like went to the Great Barrier Reef and scuba dived and
amazing,
and worked there and saw the Sydney Opera House and lived there for a year. And that's the thing, is that when we go places, we stay for a good amount of time, so we actually get the opportunity to live and work there. Yeah. So it's like, it's not like how we're going in and doing all the tourist things and going on the buses and doing those things. We're going there and immersing into the culture and getting on the local bus every day and riding it to work. And
that's cool.
Yeah. So we really feel the city.
Yeah.
And then after Australia, we went to New Zealand. We were there for a couple months. And then we went to Japan for 18 months.
Whoa, 18 months. Dang.
So that, Japan was a culture shock. Japan was...
Tell me about it.
So many different things. Just... First of all, the cleanliness of everything. You won't believe how just clean the streets are, how precise everything is. Everything is, if there's an intersection that is 5 feet long and the light is red and says don't walk, you'll have 35 Japanese people not walking. And I'd walk up and I'd just cross the street in front of everybody, and they'd be like, I'm like, what do you... You guys aren't gonna, like, everything is by the T, like.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The Japanese culture. That's somewhere I definitely want to visit. It seems like a cool place to go. But yeah, I mean, in New York, you would just like cross the street,
right?
Like, no problem. Even if it's a red light, nobody cares.
Yeah.
But it is dirty, really dirty in New York.
Dirty.
You have major rat problems and things like this.
Yeah.
So when you talk about travel and you see the way that your perspective is enhanced by living in these different cultures, I just really appreciate that about people. I feel like they're more well-rounded a person and just have a lot more things to share.
Yeah, and a lot of people are always like, Eric, are you going to go back to college? Are you going to finish school? Are you going to do all this? And I understand that, and I value education and things like that. But like you said, I've been traveling the world for the last 8 years, and I have a different kind of education that I've gotten. And traveling, you get a lot from traveling. You get more confidence. You get more knowledge. You get more understanding of people. And, I grew up really conservative Christian and things like that. And when I started to travel the world, and I started to see all these different cultures, and that how beautiful these cultures are, and how warm and nice and kind-hearted all these people are, and maybe they're Buddhist, or maybe they're Hindu, and all different religions, and I just really opened up, and I just got outside of my box of, oh, you don't believe in God? Oh, right. I can't, it's like that really opened up my whole just outlook towards people, towards life, But yeah, I was just talking about traveling, you know, Japan, and then after Japan, we went to Europe, and actually between Japan and Europe, we went to Russia, which is Europe. But Russia, people do not smile.
Yeah.
You go to dinner, and your waitress comes up to you, and it's not, "Hi, my name is so and so. I'll be helping you today." You know, it's not like that. It's, "Hello,
Yeah.
what do you want?"
Yeah.
And at first, I was like, "Excuse me,"
Yeah.
but that's a culture, and that's how they are there.
Yeah.
And you learn to adapt to that, and your expectations of what you know and the way you were hardwired and how you grew up. When you travel, you don't have a choice. You have to open up and accept people for who they are, because they didn't grow up like you, and you can't judge, and you just have to be open-minded. And
I think that's the key right there, Eric, is being open-minded. I love that so much when people have that approach to life, and that's why I love traveling so much, because it opens your mind.
Yeah.
Because you could be living in, you know, Kansas and never venture out of Kansas, and to me a very it's a very hard way to live, because there's so many possibilities that open up when you travel. And it's like, again, we're talking about neuroplasticity, about how our brain is able to learn and actually like stretch and grow. And I feel like that's kind of where the stereotype of maybe people in the South would just maybe stay all there all the time,
yeah, right,
sleep
small
with their
towns,
cousin, or like,
right.
just not very educated.
Yeah.
And then the traveling, I just had a layover in Russia, in Moscow.
Okay.
I was like, and you can tell at the airport, it's like, damn, people
man,
are
I hate
like,
that airport, man.
Whoa, people are seem like they're massively depressed. And maybe I don't mean that they're sad, but they're not expressive.
They're not expressive.
Like very, very depressed. It's like, dude, I need to get out of here. I don't want to like be in this environment. So how long were you in Russia?
We were in Sochi, Russia, which is where they hold the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there not too long, only about 5 weeks, I think.
5 weeks?
5 weeks. So, and it wasn't Russia. So Sochi is like the Hawaii of America.
Gotcha.
And it's really a big tourist attraction. That whole experience I was telling you about, riding the city bus and things like that, Sochi was a completely different experience. But then after Russia, then we went to Spain. In Spain, wow.
Spain's amazing, huh? What cities?
We started in Madrid.
Madrid.
We were there for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. We did like 3 months in Madrid.
Do they celebrate Halloween in Madrid?
No.
No. Okay.
No. Halloween's American.
Yeah.
Halloween's only American.
Yeah.
They have some people who will host a Halloween party or whatever, but it's not mainstream like it is in America. Madrid, then we went to Barcelona. I loved Barcelona. Barcelona was like California and New York mixed together.
Yeah.
You been there?
I have,
Okay.
yeah.
Right? The city, just in the beach right there.
Yes, it's an amazing
Right?
city.
That'd be like if we're downtown right here in LA and
Mhm.
the beach was 3 blocks away
Yeah.
from the city.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's a very large city too, and I like it because in Europe they're really known for like the subways and trains and things like that.
Yeah.
And they're very easy to get around, and it made the city feel a lot smaller and a lot more accessible because of the trains. So you can just like go anywhere,
right?
Walk, hop off, get back on the train. The food is really good. I went to that church. It's
Sagrada Familia?
Yeah, Sagrada Familia, a pretty amazing church, nice stained glass windows. We went to like the beach, check that out, and then I went to see. I'm a huge fan of soccer,
Oh,
so I went
nice.
to go see Barcelona versus Madrid.
Nice.
So that was amazing.
That's as rivalry as it gets, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's like the top tier of soccer. That's like probably the number one. What would you call them? I don't know. rivalry.
Yeah, rivalry. Yeah. When were you there?
When was I there? Maybe like 2 years ago.
Because I was also there during that game 2 years ago.
2 years ago or a year ago, something like that. Yeah. Well, I think they have them a couple times a year.
Oh yeah.
2 times a year.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But Barcelona is a pretty incredible city.
Yeah, definitely. And then we went to smaller Spanish cities like Malaga and Alicante and and things like that were, you got a more of the small town traditional Spanish feel, and that was cool too.
Yeah.
Like outside the city, like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good food, great food, a lot of sangria, paella, and.
Yeah. What is the culture that you most enjoyed living in?
I liked Spain, but I didn't I don't want to say that. I didn't absolutely love the people. I have a lot of Spanish friends. I really enjoyed Japan. Just because, I don't know, maybe Japanese, they call tourists gaijin, and maybe they don't like tourists, but they respect the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And
that's big.
Everywhere you go, when you leave a restaurant, the waiter literally walks to the door with you, stands outside, and watches you walk away after you've had your meal.
Wow.
And so many times I'd be walking away and I'd always look back and I'd see them and they bow. And then you walk a little bit further, I'm like, no way, she's still there. You look back, they bow.
Wow.
They don't go back into the restaurant to continue working until you turn the corner.
Wow.
So that's how much respect is in Japan. And I got the opportunity to go to Disneyland in Tokyo as well. Disneyland's already magical, right? But Disneyland in Tokyo is like on steroids of cleanliness, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is heaven. Yeah. Like it was so.
That's
Japan.
A pretty amazing culture.
And then the food, of course.
It sounds like.
Yeah, and then of course the food. But surprisingly, California rolls and any kind of roll, that's American. They don't do rolls in Japan. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
They just have the sashimi, and they just have hand rolls and things like that. But the actual like California roll and the stuff we do where we fry it and all that, that's all American.
Yeah.
We did all that. Mm-hmm. So. But ramen, oh my gosh, ramen in Japan. And I actually got the chance to go to a sumo wrestling practice. So I was there in the little house with all the sumo wrestlers. And
were you taking like baths and stuff with them, like chilling in the jacuzzi?
I was taking baths, but it was intense. Their coaches yelling at them, slapping them, and it's intense.
Did you ever try to learn some of the language while you were in these countries?
Yeah, so I learned I could have learned more than I did. I learned what I had to for taxis and left and right, and here and thank you, arigato, how are you, so genki desu ka, and then when I was in Spain, I learned some little stuff and things like that. And
it's important. It helps the local respect you, because you're showing some interest in their culture. You're showing some assimilation.
They appreciate your effort.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I was in Paris, and I kind of got where people get the rude American vibe, because there was this like older white lady. We were at the Eiffel Tower, and she got lost from her tour guide. But she was with like a few other of her friends. They were like, I don't know, 75, pretty old. But she was like yelling down from the top, like top level down to the bottom level. She's like, yoo-hoo, Aviator. That was the name of their company, Aviator, yoo-hoo, just like in front of everybody. I'm like, lady, what are you doing? And the guy's giving a tour. He's giving a tour to another group that's not even part of her group. I was like,
you're a bad example of America.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, no wonder where people get that from.
Yeah.
Because we're Americans feel like we're the shit, and wherever we go, we don't really assimilate. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I think that you need to you know, be able to learn a few words here and there, and if you're in Japan, bow, and just like little things like that go a long way.
No, that's cool that you caught on to that, because that's definitely what I start to realize. And then, you know, especially everything going on here with politics and Trump and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's a very polarizing figure, Trump.
So foreigners, when you tell them you're American, they're like, oh, Trump? And we're like, Trump. Yeah. So being overseas during all this stuff, you know, Trump and all that, Americans weren't really looked at as superior to the world anymore. I mean, it's just...
Yeah. The culture is shifting.
Yeah, and then also me being there and having all these experiences, even like you say, all the public transportation and all that, and seeing the way that these different societies are working, and how beautiful and how amazing everything is there. I'm like, we need to learn from you guys.
Absolutely.
So
100%, dude. I was in Amsterdam, and I was a little bit faded. We're coming back from a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And we're in the underground, or the subway, and it was so clean, and the escalators were not constantly running. They're energy efficient, so whenever you step on them, then they go. Nice lighting, everything's super clean. The trains, it was amazing. I'm like, wow. Wow, dude. And also too, the culture of marijuana, of cannabis over there is like, so like everything is so like non-stigmatized, and it's very free. It's a very free, like, I don't want to say liberal, but just like it feels liberating when you're over there. It's crazy. Like nobody's really judging you too much, and things like that. And especially as a person who smokes weed, to go over there and not feel like a criminal is a cool feeling. It's a damn cool feeling.
Yeah, for sure, right?
And so I'm like, there's so many things that we can bring over back from Europe or back from Tokyo, all these cultures, and bring them back into America to help people who may not have the opportunity to travel to get that experience. It's like, oh, this is what it is. I feel like there should be coffee shops here in here in LA, here in the United States. And if, like, say for example, I were to open one, I would want to do it like exactly how they do it in Amsterdam. It's beautiful. You know, people are playing card games. They're having a tea. Right. They're playing chess. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's not everybody kind of like wilding out and being like drug users. People are like sophisticated. They're reading. I'm like, damn, I love this. I love the whole turn on its head of the stereotypical stoner who just like is lazy and doesn't do anything, to this person who is like, these people who are reading and they're playing chess and they're playing cards and they're just like smiling and being respectful of each other. It's just,
people are just a lot more willing to play the role they need to play in society and play their part and be respectful towards everything. And people aren't belligerent, and like people aren't ruining things for other people out there. Like, people are going with the flow, and they're like, we're supposed to walk this way, we're gonna walk this way. And it's like, you know, if we all do it right, we can have coffee shops and all smoke weed together. But if some stupid guy comes in here and, you know, ruins everything for us, then
exactly. And I'm sure that happens over there, but I feel like just on a smaller scale. They're more outliers. There's a lot of rebel types here in America. But what else was I gonna say? Man, let's wrap it up, man. Thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it, and hearing your perspective on, you know, Tokyo and Australia and these different places that I haven't been.
Yeah, you gotta go, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I recommend Tokyo. You get there easy too. From LAX to Tokyo you could literally get a flight for $400.
Wow.
And go straight there. And then once you do get to Tokyo, they have the bullet train. So only Japan has this. They have a bullet train that goes about, 300 to 400 miles per hour. And you can go to different provinces in Japan like that.
Wow.
So you can pay a certain amount of money and get a ticket on this train that takes you straight to Osaka in 2 hours, and takes you straight to Sendai and Nagoya and all these different, and you could see all of Japan in a week.
Whoa.
So
that's amazing.
I definitely recommend checking out Japan.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, man, so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Sure.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for watching another episode of the Lucky Brain podcast. In this episode, we talked a lot about travel. Where have you guys traveled to? Where in the world is someplace that was a really special experience for you? Leave it in the comments. Please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And also follow Eric. What is your Instagram, Eric?
It's Eric Michael, and you can link it down in the description.
I'll link it down in the description. It's Eric Michael. Follow him on Instagram. All right, everybody. Thanks so much.